It's the radio.
How about now?
Test. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. It's been a wild week, actually. We just had craziest interest rates. You had the Fed meeting come out. Interest rates just went down to a 3-year low this week and bounced back 2 days later and went back to a 2-week high. So we'll talk about what's going on with that, some crazy stuff, lots of buyers jumping in, lots of uncertainty, and we'll do the same thing we're doing every week for the past, 15 plus years on this station. And our goal is to keep you updated with everything real estate related here on the Grand Strand so that you can make better decisions with your largest assets. And for most people, their largest asset is real estate. And so that's what matters as well. So we got the brand new micro market numbers in from last month. Interesting, right? So that's like each zip code, each area. Look at, hey, what's going on in my specific area. So you can kind of know and understand, okay, what's going on in my neighborhood, what's happening with sales, inventory, prices, things like that. We'll break that down, kind of what's going on. We'll get into interest rates and kind of what happened and what's going on with those overall. It's still good, but it was a very, very wild week in terms of ups and downs, a 3-year low, which was awesome to kind of see there for a while. And it was obviously kind of baked into before the Fed meeting happened. Rates jump back up next couple of days. We'll break into that. Also, a national article came out just yesterday, talks about looking at why now may be a key 2025 moment for selling your house. And it's true. It has to do with a lot of buyers who've been on the sidelines. They're saying up to 5 million home buyers have been on the sidelines when rates are between 6 and 6.5. And now it's gotten down in that range. You're seeing a lot more people jump in because affordability's come back. They're trying to get into home ownership and lock that in and kind of be able to own something as inflation continues to go up. Also, we have lots of great stuff. Our team, we mentioned, has an investment fund. We've actually added a new acquisitions person to that investment fund, 2 more under contract this past week here in Myrtle Beach, one in Myrtle's Inlet. And we've really ramped that up. We're sending about 5,000 mailers every other week out to people. If you've maybe gotten a check from me in the mail, that's us in our investment fund. It's separate from our real estate company, but we're buying properties fair, easy cash on your terms. It can be as quick as you want, as long as you want. Leave your stuff in there. Just take a suitcase. We had one person, she just took a suitcase, drove to Texas. We cleaned everything out, did everything for her. We're also looking to buy businesses that are service-based businesses, termite inspection, HVAC, things like that. Let me know if you're interested. We make it seamless and some great opportunities there. With it also, our team, some amazing success stories. We've been absolutely grinding. Our team, like we talked about before, makes 10,000 phone calls a week. And that's manually. Like we're reaching out, calling people, talking to buyers and sellers, matching up buyers and sellers. And so we'll talk about a couple of those, but we also are hiring right now already for 2026 and really kind of ramping up here in Q4, which is coming up just in a couple of weeks. And so if you're out there in real estate listening or watching online, or if you're in a business of sales and you really like high-level customer service, high-level training, we'll talk about what we're doing, what we're growing. We're really transforming people's lives that come work with us. I have 5 separate coaches. They help coach our team. They really help ramp them up in terms of career-wise, life-wise, sales and sales IQ-wise. And so we'll talk about that in today's show. But lots of great stuff as usual. If you ever want to come back and watch the replay, just go to YouTube and type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. You can also follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. Also follow Sloan Realty Group. We also stream on LinkedIn, all those places for you. So you can come back, watch it, share it with friends, relatives. So definitely stay tuned today.
Jesse, give me an update on just who Blake is. It's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment. But all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely, Rick. And that's the only reason to do the show still. Like 15 plus years doing this show here on the station. And it really just comes down to trying to overcome the mistake that so many home sellers make. And over and over. I see it every day. I've seen it this week already. We've had it from from a couple of sellers already. And in terms of, it really comes down to the biggest mistake they make is really comes down to one thing only. It's the agent they choose, period. They think that all agents are the same. They think they're just a commodity. And for the most part, a lot of them are, right? But the reality is that would be like saying that all stock brokers are the same, that all doctors are the same, all lawyers are the same, right? What's different there is a service-based business, which has to do with the human and how well the human executes in their role and actually manage the variables. And with real estate, it's very difficult because it's a long sales cycle and there's a lot of variables that must be handled. And so what happens is the ball gets dropped in many cases. There's large stakes at hand, which cost you hard-earned equity. And so you spend 20, 30 years building your hard-earned equity, 15 minutes picking an agent, and you give up so much of that long-term wealth that you had to build by making wrong decisions. And so that's my goal. That's my why we do this show, is help educate people. And I'll say this, like, the worst ones that do this are the most affluent people. They want to go with the one that lives in the neighborhood. They want to go with the one that is what I call the biggest tadpole in the mud puddle, right? They want to just go with the one that really is kind of sold a couple in the neighborhood, not realizing that you want to have a big, great white in the ocean who can bring lots of buyers in to help increase demand. We'll talk about that. But the reality is the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller comes to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. That's the only thing I want anybody to take from the show is like, look, most consumers, been doing this 20 years now, no one's really ever asked great questions in how to pick an agent, right? They tend to pick an agent the wrong way. And the most number one question we get, what do you think it is? How much do you charge, right? And so, like, that's not the right question to lead with. It's also one of the important questions, but you don't want to lead with that question, because if I base my decision on the cheapest agent, what are you going to get? You're going to get absolutely terrible service. If I pick an attorney, right, if I get sued by somebody or charged with a crime I didn't commit, the last thing I want to do is call around and tell them to get the cheapest attorney. If I get the cheapest attorney, I'm going to get my butt whipped in court, because I'm not going to get somebody who's good at what they do, right? And it could be a fair price. It doesn't mean it's going to be the most expensive, but the reality is I want to understand the value of what that is. And so if I get sick and have, a life-threatening illness, I'm not going to just call around to the doc in the boxes and find the cheapest doctor. I want to understand who specializes in my type of medicine I need, who obviously has a track record of success and what I'm looking to get done. And it's the same thing for law, right? If I'm charged with a crime I didn't commit, I want the absolute best, most badass attorney there is, who has a lot of experience in the courtroom, who can give me a competitive advantage in that courtroom against everyone else. And then at that point, once I understand that, I can really stack them up and understand who has the best value. Doesn't mean I pay the most money. And I paid the most money for attorneys before, just based on that in the beginning, and it didn't work well. They didn't even read the documents I gave them. But I found somebody who was in the middle, who was experienced and who was good. And I learned to ask the right questions. And you have to do the same thing with the largest asset, right? And you want to know things of like, what type of property you sold in my area? What's your marketing budget look like? What's your marketing strategy look like? What's your experience like? How do you negotiate? And the reality is, most people don't understand that in terms of realtors here, the average agent sells less than 4 homes per year. It's 1 per quarter. And so they're not able to manage those variables. And it's a very, very broken business model. And so when I got in the business, like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. When it was me and 200 other agents at Coldwell Banker, they didn't care about us. We didn't care about them. And it was no alignment. And the problem is the old school model is broken, meaning that you have one agent who has to juggle every ball in the world of real estate, which is buyer side, which is you have to show them 15, 20 houses before they buy something. But to survive in the business, you have to work 15, 20 buyers at the same time. That takes 40 hours a week in itself. Then also they're trying to work with sellers. They're trying to get the listing, talk to you about the listing, do the market analysis, come look at your property, do listing presentation, show you what they do, if they do anything. They're also trying to do their marketing if they do any. Most agents don't do marketing. How do we know that? They sell 4 homes per year. They can't put food on the table, much less put marketing dollars out there on your behalf. And more importantly, if they do any marketing, it's just pick me, I'm number one. Come to me. Nothing that brings any buyers to your house, brings any value to you as a consumer. And the next thing they're trying to do is their administrative work, which is where the ball gets dropped the most. That's communication, the execution, taking the photos, putting the photos in MLS, scheduling showings, getting showing feedback, all the things that have to happen in that process. And in addition to that, they're also trying to do their contract to close, which is once it goes under contract, who's going to make sure that all the deadlines get met, that the home inspection gets negotiated, the home inspection contingency gets taken out, finance contingency gets taken out, and all these small things that have to happen. It's simply impossible for one single person to do that. But they hire them anyways, based on price or friendship, whatever it is. And the reality is it's simply impossible for one single agent to juggle all the things that have to be done in today's marketplace. And so that's like having the same person at McDonald's at the front register, the drive-through, and the fries at the same time. It's very inefficient. There's actually 118 different variables if you stack them up. And most agents don't know that. We took the time to do that and create a system that's proven repeatable that manages those variables at every single point with 2 main things: a large team of people, what we call specialists, where an agent who's doing everything is a generalist, which means they can't master anything, but a specialist can create more leverage for you because they can really nail in and execute at the highest level. And then also technology, we built to back that up to make sure everything gets managed proactively in the right order. And it makes a massive, massive difference. Thing I designed called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. For buyers out there, guess what? Same type problem. There's 100 plus variables in your buying. You want to make sure someone who manages those is truly able to do all of that and has a team behind them that can execute. And so we created this thing called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System, each party access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully. In addition to that, we want to make sure that we're your real estate resource for life. We help make sure you find the best plumbers, electricians, landscapers, whatever it may be. We're there to support the client forever because we want to obviously work with you in the future. We want your friends and relatives. We want to make sure that we help serve you while you own the property because that's something we're here to do. We've been doing that for 20 years here on the beach. So if you want to know more how it works, if you want to see a detailed documentary about how it works, what makes us different, you can go watch that right now on your cell phone. It's called BlakeSloan.com. Check it out. We'll take a quick break right back here in a second.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, thanks for joining me today. You know, a lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean, we have 3 unique, innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience, where I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach Grand Trenton area. Or we have a program for maximum speed, where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system that'll sell your home twice as fast and for 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at BlakeSloan.com. That's BlakeSloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Parker. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. We offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date, take after a home, or even rent.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan radio show, brand new market update, all kind of stuff going on. We have 2 types of numbers, really 3 types of numbers we'll talk about. We got the front windshield numbers, which talk about, hey, look, what's happening real time. They've been interesting. Last week's been wild. I'll tell you, we had a huge amount of sales last week, and rates really went down late last week, early this week, and then the Fed meeting happened, and rates went back up significantly. And so buyers are all over the place, and so we'll help, kind of descript that for you. We also have, the rearview mirror numbers. That's what closed last month across the entire marketplace. And then we also have the micro market numbers, and that's what happened in my zip code, my area. We'll dig into those today overall. But really quick, looking at the front windshield numbers of like, hey, that's the pulse. And so that's what I use and what you would use as a home seller to create strategy. And so I look at, hey, what's the comp value? Is what closed previously. That's the rearview mirror. That's what closed last month. Only problem with that data sometimes is that it's 30 to 60 days, in some cases 90 days old, right? They go under contract, let's say in March. They're doing finance contingencies, inspections, all of a sudden they close 30, 60 days later. Then it closes late April, May, right? So you could be making decisions based on data that's almost a quarter old. So you want to keep a pulse of like, okay, how far can I push the number now based on real-time data? And that's why we track how many properties go under contract in the 7-day period. We track it every morning manually in my office. I track it in a spreadsheet. We go through it in our morning huddle so that we can advise our clients based on the real-time pulse of what buyers are doing to really know how to push it, right? And so I've been doing the show here for a long time, since COVID-19 when we started doing it, because I freaked out and I didn't know what to do. We were spending a massive amount of money in marketing, and a lot of people just stopped everything. But I started looking like, man, people are still buying stuff. And so thankfully, we kept that going and didn't pull back at all through that process. And so looking right now, and let's go last week's show really quick. Last week's show, there's 527 properties under contract for $211,752,000, which is interesting, right? Rates were going low. People started hearing about it. Everybody's excited about the Fed meeting coming up. And then this week it's actually down. Went from 527 to 463. So this week only 463 properties under contract last 7 days. I was a little shocked to see that. The volume went from 211 million to 177 million week versus week. So this last 7 days, as of today, $177,710,071. So significant drop there, right? You're talking 40,000, well, 30,000 plus dollars there. Sorry, $30 million difference in a 7 day period. So that's significant. A lot of big stuff still selling. So last week's show, the biggest property sale, 3.8 million. This week's show, 3.9 million. That's 8,000 Beach Drive. We sold that house years ago. We didn't sell it this time, but it's a beautiful house right there on the ocean, right before you get to Dunes Club. And 3 properties over 2 million this last week that sold. One in Grand Dunes, one in Garden City. 12 properties over $1 million. Still lots of stuff happening that's moving. Lots of big buyers coming in, and 91 properties over 500,000 just in the last 7 days. So look, if I'm a little more high end, guess what? I can be more bullish because I know stuff's still moving. And so you always want to understand what's happening. And so I want to tee it up. I do think you're going to see a very, very strong market in this fall market before it gets to like Thanksgiving. Why? Because you tend to see a different type of buyer. I've been tracking this for many, many years. I'm a huge nerd for numbers. And so we find that the type of people change a little bit in the shoulder seasons. They tend to be a little older crowd. Kids are grown. They have just a little bit more money in many cases because obviously kids aren't in the house anymore. They're more established, but they like to avoid the crowds, right? And so they don't come in the summertime when the kids are out of school. They come in the shoulder seasons. They spend money in terms of buying stuff. And you see it's happen pretty much every year. And so that's something to think about if I'm teeing my property up for buyers who come in for mid to high end, which you'll see that kind of happen, in my opinion, in the next really 4 to 6 weeks with that. So if you're thinking about selling your more mid to high end property, definitely keep that in mind overall. If you look at closed properties last month, so the rear view mirror numbers for the entire macro market, that's the entire Grand Strand as a whole. Closed sales down 1.8% last month overall. That's the amount of property sold. Median price was actually up 0.4% at $379,000. Average sale price down 2.1% from the same time last year at $485,000 overall. Supply of inventory is up 13% year over year at 5.1 months of inventory. Overall, we talked about the showings per listing last week as well. 3.9 showings per listing is the average amount of showings that a listing gets. The problem is it takes 13.9 to actually get a contract. And so you need 3 times the amount of showings that the average listing gets to get a contract, which is why over 50% of properties that get listed do not sell. And this is why this show is so important, right? When you're picking your agent and you're moving somewhere else and you want to get the most amount of money, you understand that if you list a property, you have a 50% chance in many cases of the property actually selling, which is not very good, right? You wouldn't get on an airplane if there's a 50% chance of making it. But people still list with these random agents all the time without understanding what to ask. And so that's the big thing you're seeing right now. That does happen. If you're looking at overall and days on market really quick for anybody, the average days on market right now for the entire marketplace, 102. It is down, which is good. It's a couple months ago, it was 107. It peaked out earlier this year at 116 overall. If you look at closed sales for condos last month, they were up 0.5%, so pretty much flat from the same time last year. Average sale price down 5.4% at $263,000. Median price down 1.3% at $225,000. The amount of supply of condos is up 24% from the same time last year, 8.6 months of inventory, which is significant, right? That's by far a buyer's market overall with that. The amount of showings per listing, the average listing in the MLS gets 2.2 showings the entire time it's listed. So one showing pretty much every other month in many cases. And the average amount of showings it takes to get a contract is 9.8. And so 10, right? Average listing gets 2 showings. Average listing to get a contract takes 10. So the average listing gets 2, takes 10 to get a contract, and you 5 times the amount of showings than the average listing gets to get a contract, which is why the agent you choose matters so much. You have to have someone right now in this current market that can back it up with 2 main things. Number 1 is marketing dollars to get eyeballs to your property. Number 2 is actual sales power in terms of, manpower of sales teams who can actually reach out, match up buyers and sellers, not just sit back and hope that some random email hits a buyer out there and that they magically love it and they tackle them to buy it, right? Most agents just send a bunch of emails out, they get super lazy, and then they just hope that someone tackles them to buy something in a very reactive way. And so the one thing we've started doing is we're super aggressive, we're proactive, and that's why we're making 10,000 phone calls per week in terms of what we do. Really quick, jump into the micro market. It's the hardest one to do on the radio. Again, it's one I get the most questions about, though, because everyone cares about, hey, what's my neighborhood doing, right? And we kind of base it off the middle part of Myrtle Beach really kind of leads the pack. You'll see the shoulder areas like Surfside and North Myrtle Beach will follow that a month or two later. But 29577, 29572, Myrtle Beach last month for single-family homes. Closed sales down 5.6%. The good news is price up 4.7% from last year in August, 492,000. This year, 515,000. So that's great news. Year to date, Myrtle Beach sales down 7.1%. Prices, though, up 5.5%, which is great. It's holding strong. So through the end of August last year, prices were $499,999. This year, $527,500. So they're not going backwards, which is great news overall. The crazy part, though, inventory of homes for sale is up 19% in Myrtle Beach. So last year was only 229. This year, 274. And here's also something that's a little bit shocking for some people. The average days on market in Myrtle Beach last month was 123. It's up 19% from last year. And so last year it took 103 days to sell. This year it takes 123. And so the average for the year to date in Myrtle Beach is 130 days, and that's up 17%. So keep that in mind, right, overall. And that's why it's super important to understand that if you don't want to wait that long, make sure that you're picking the right agent in terms of how you do that. Into condos, condo sales last month down 1.5%. Year to date down 5.7%. Median sales price for condos in Myrtle Beach down 2.2% last month at $220,000. Year to date flat, which is great news, at down 0.2%. It went from 230 to 229,500. That's really good for condos because they've been taking a beating here lately. And so the Myrtle Beach kind of boardwalk areas have actually been holding their own pretty decently, which is nice to see. Their inventory of condos is up 10% overall. And the average days on market last month for a condo to sell in Myrtle Beach, 167 days. That's a long time of the ones that actually do sell. Into North Myrtle Beach area, closed sales last month up 12%, which is awesome. Year-to-date sales in North Myrtle up 14.3%, which is great news. Myrtle Beach prices down 5.2%. Sorry, North Myrtle Beach prices down 5.2% last month. It went from 553 last year to 525 this year. Year-to-date prices down 3.5%. So the same time last year through, if you look at the average through the end of August, it was 570. This year, 550. So interesting, right? You're seeing differences based on zip code and area, and that's why you always want to break down that data. Overall inventory up significantly, up 17% in North Myrtle Beach area, and the days on market on average to sell a property that does sell is 115. So that's something there. Condos closed sales up 40%, went from 57 to 82. Significant, right? There's a big increase there, and that was last month. If you got year-to-date condo sales in North Myrtle down 2.8%. Median price down 13%. Last month for condos. It went from 291 to 251. Year to date, condo prices in North Myrtle Beach down 8.1% at 290,000. And the average days on market for a condo that does sell this year in that area, 122 days overall. Little River area, closed sales last month down 11%. Year to date, check this out. Sales down 35.8%. Why is that? Well, a lot of that has to do with inventory. There's a lot of new construction out there. A lot of new construction has been built out. This huge run on that really last year. And some of that inventory is just no longer there. And that's why I kind of look at that overall. If you look at inventory, homes for sales down 10% just last month from the same month last year. Average days on market, the properties that do sell in Little River is 123 days overall. And so that's important there. Carolina Forest area, if you look at closed sales last month, down 8.8%. Year-to-date sales down 6.4%. Prices, though, last month up 8.5% at $439, which is great. Year-to-date prices up 3.3% at $437. And the inventory of homes for sale down 15.5%, which is interesting, where most areas are seeing an increase in inventory. Carolina Forest is actually seeing a decline in inventory. Not too many condos there. It's really make a difference. Soxy area, closed sales last month up 46%. So a big jump. A lot of new construction there too. You're seeing 101 properties last August, 148 properties this August, which is great. Year-to-date sales up 14.5% from 764 to 875. Prices year-to-date up 1.0% from 355 to 358. The average days on market to sell a property in Sockasty is 105 days. So they're beating most areas. You're seeing that overall, which is great. Surfside area, closed sales last month up 20%. So 44 last year in August, 53 this year in August, which is great. Year-to-date sales up 2.4%. Like I mentioned, you'll see North Myrtle Beach and Surfside kind of mirror each other many times in terms, because it's very similar marketplaces. If you look at average price Median price for this year so far up 2.5%, which is great news. The average days on market last month for a house to sell on Surfside, 142 days. That's up 37%. So it's taking much longer than typically it has in the past. And inventory of homes for sale on Surfside is up 15% from the same time last year. Last couple ones here, we're done. Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet, closed sales last month down 1.4%, year to date down 1.3%. But the good news is prices last month up 10%. So the same time last year, 443, this year 491. And even year to date, prices are up 6.5%. So through August last year, 449, this year 478, which is awesome news there. The average days on market, though, of the ones that did sell last month, 145 days. That's significant overall. Last year, Pawleys Island Litchfield, closed sales last month down 20%, year to date down 13%. Prices, though, up 13% from 550 to 625 last month. Great news there. And the average days on market to sell in Pawleys and Litchfield, 117 days overall. Inventory is up 26%. And so lots of competition there. If you want to know more how that works and break that down and get a detailed area kind of where yours is, you have an online tool at blakesloan.com. It'll give you a full detailed report, a cash offer option. You can keep like a stock ticker of what any property you own anywhere in the country is for free, no obligation at blakesloan.com. We'll take a quick break, right back in a second with our Hot Buyers Alert.
One or two commercials?
One. Thank you.
Hey, WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of
You'll have about 2.5 minutes.
If you need to sell
Thank you.
a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know what your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market with a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan, Real Estate Show. Hot Buyers, my team and I are with a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking to buy properties here in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area, anywhere from $250,000 to $4.4 million. If you're thinking about selling, please call us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. We do this thing called proof versus promises, right? Put our money where our mouth is. And one thing we do is we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Difference between us and anyone else and why you should call us first is that we're spending $100,000 a month in marketing before you ever call us, getting buyers from all across the globe. And we have what we call buyers in waiting, and we're waiting for them. We match up buyers and sellers. That's why we make 10,000 phone calls a week. But right now, active home buyers on our website from all across the globe, 80,619 active home buyers from all over the globe. I even got Scott Trump here from Baltimore, Maryland. I got Tim Coyer from Salisbury, North Carolina. Donald Jensen from Orlando, Florida. I got Ottawa, Ontario. I got Lexington, North Carolina. So from all over, we have these buyers in waiting. So if you're thinking about selling, please call us immediately, 843-808. So really quick success story. Roy and Peggy owned a townhome in North Myrtle Beach, recently decided to move back to North Carolina to be closer to family. They need to sell their home for top dollar so they could finish building a new construction home back in North Carolina. Thankfully, referred to us by an amazing radio listener. They knew exactly who to call first. They called us. They were absolutely blown away. I came in, designed a custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough. With a couple weeks of massive traffic, had a fantastic offer in their home. Now they moved on, did the simultaneous closing with a new build up there with maximum cash in pocket. Give us a call, 843-808-SOLD, blakesloan.com if you want to go more. Also, really quick, John inherited a luxury townhouse at Barefoot Landing from his father. And a super nice one there. His father passed away. Since he didn't live here, though, he wanted to make sure he got a great price for the property, didn't want to give it away, but also didn't have the hassle of taking everything out and making repairs. He talked to a few investors who gave pennies on the dollar, but he came to us after being referred to us by somebody else. You're super cool. He was absolutely blown away with us. He couldn't believe that we get it sold quickly, just like a cash offer for top dollar, completely as is. I designed a custom plan, launched global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, especially for a high-end place like that. Had an elevator inside. It was super nice. Within a few weeks, drove massive traffic, a fantastic offer as is. Didn't make any repairs and also could leave all the furniture, anything you want in there. So we were very flexible based on your situation. We were really, really, really good in helping people whose parents passed away and getting a lot of money where many people just kind of give that away and just dump it. We can get you top dollar for it. Give us a call, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you back here same time next week.